What is going on, guys? Today we're going for a little bit of a stroll, and I'm going to explain to you guys what exactly my pivot is and what I'm doing here in Taiwan now. So it's mostly my friends and family that watch these videos, but I will give you guys a little bit of rundown if you don't know me. So essentially I have this business partner and friend named Philip, and Philip lives in Switzerland. We met online quite a few years ago, and we started creating apps for the Pebble smartwatch. At first it was a hobby, and then it turned into basically a full-time job, and I made money off of it. We made money off of it. And then we progressed into iPhone apps. And so last year we launched a Kickstarter called Lignite Music, whose goal was to create an awesome music app experience on iOS. And so we launched this Kickstarter last year, back in July, and we promised a lot. Like, we promised... Yeah! 你好. Okay, just to give you guys an idea, Philip is a designer, so he does not program, so I'm doing all the programming, and that's not his fault. I took on this project knowing full well that was happening. It was my commitment. And so all of our promises, here's what's going on. So we promised to make an iOS app that would create an awesome music experience. And what would that bring? Apple Music support, Spotify support, landscape support so you could rotate your phone, use it in the car on its side, iPad support, so you could use it fully on iPad. It would be fully adapted to iPad. Apple Watch support. We promised these things called dynamic playlists, enhanced shuffling, and so much more. We promised just an immense amount of things in hopes of raising this funding and in hopes of making this a successful Kickstarter and, you know, creating an awesome app. And that was our true goal. That was the true goal of our app. It wasn't just to raise money. And so essentially what happened was I started developing this app. After the Kickstarter finished and everything, I ended up basically full-time developing it starting last August. Starting basically at the end of last August. And so I did this app like crazy until about sometime in January, where I started to hit emotional struggles with it because it was so much work. And I felt it wasn't paying off because I hadn't made a single dime aside from the Kickstarter money, which in the start was not very much. And I started to worry, and I started to feel very insecure about it because every time someone would ask me sort of what's going on in my life, or they'd get to know me, you know, I'd introduce myself and I'd bring up the app somehow, or the app would come up somehow, and they'd be asked, oh, what app are you working on? And I'm like, oh, it's a music app. And they're like, oh sweet, is it like something like Spotify, or like, what are you doing? And I would feel insecure because I felt like I was creating something insignificant because it was just a music app. That was what was in my head. I couldn't get over that. It was really eating me up. And I have a history of having bad procrastination. And so I procrastinated working on Lignite Music for quite a while, like in the span of about 2 months, because I was very insecure about this whole thing. I was very insecure about people asking me about it. I felt a lot of pressure because of the amount of work we'd committed. And so when I came to Taiwan, I had all this emotional burden, along with the fact that I was missing my family. I had to live on my own for the first time. I was in a country where barely anyone speaks my language. It was a lot. It was a lot to take on. And my first few weeks here were really difficult, and I think I've mentioned that before. And so those reasons all combined is what caused me to pivot. So what I ended up doing was, I'm just basically working on Lignite Music full-time. That's the main purpose of my pivot, and that's what I spend most of my days on. I've basically just been grinding on Lignite. And I've gotten a lot done. We're moving along really, really fast, and it's awesome. It's awesome. And the second reason, there was two big reasons. The second reason was self-growth. And so, aside from working on Lignite and getting past getting that done, the second reason was self-growth. Because of all of those emotional issues I had when I first got here, learning a brand new language and trying to take that on full time, meanwhile wanting to finish my music app, and all of my emotional issues, it just was not viable in my mind. And what was more valuable to me, what seemed more valuable to me, and what has turned out to be more valuable to me, was to do a self-growth experience. And so what do I mean by self-growth experience? Well, what I essentially mean is, one, I wanted to get over a bunch of emotional issues. So the first big one was stress about money. Money used to consume my thoughts and stress me out, and I would have these terrible rage storms, and it was really bad. And two, the emotional issues I had with Lignite music and the lack of insecurity regarding that. And three, other small things that I'm not going to talk about in this vlog, but I can assure you I feel a lot better about them, and I'm sure as hell glad that I worked on them as well. And then by self-growth experience, I also mean getting things sorted out in my life and learning things that I've always wanted to learn. First of all, cooking. I've learned how to cook things before, a few small things, but I've never been able to cook like a ton of stuff. And so learning how to cook's a big one. Another one is working out, etc. And that's what I've been vlogging about so far, because that's some of the things I've learned and some of the things I'm really passionate about now. Like, I love doing body weight workouts, I love cooking, all that. Yeah, I mean, that's basically all I have to say. That's my pivot. So to summarize this whole ramble, to wrap it up for all you guys, essentially I pivoted because when I came to Taiwan, I had emotional issues regarding my app, Lignite Music. I was insecure about it. I have a ton of work still to do on it, and I had even way more back then. And I also wanted to work on myself. So with those two things combined, working on Lignite full time and working on myself, I honestly can say that I feel like I've made the best decision that I could have. And not learning Mandarin right now, although, it sucks because I really do want to learn the language, I think it's something that I will do in my future. Alright, so what's the whole point of this vlog? Aside from telling you guys my story, my point of making this vlog was just to talk to you guys about how life never goes according to plan. It's a big lesson I've learned here, and it's something that I have come to love, and I hope that you can come to love if you haven't already figured it out for yourself. I struggled with the fact that maybe right now I'm at a point in my life where learning Mandarin is not something that's viable. It's not something that's the best option for me. And that sucked. I mean, that's my goal. That's something I really want to do. But pivoting and working on Lignite music, working on myself, meeting awesome people, learning tons of things. Alright guys, so my point with all of this, aside from telling you guys my story, is to tell you that life never goes according to plan. And that's something beautiful. It's something that I've come to learn over here, and it's something I've come to love. And I hope you guys can learn it and love it as well if you haven't already. We have goals, we have hopes, and we try our best to make those happen. And that's great. But along the way, things happen in between. Things we can't expect, things we can't predict. And that is the best part. It honestly, I know how cheesy it sounds. Trust me, I know how cheesy it sounds. It really is about the journey, because those are the things during the journey that you learn the most from. They're the things that you're going to grow the most from, not the end point. I mean, sure, it would have been sweet if I'd been learning Mandarin and now I could speak, with relative ease in some situations, but that's not what happened. But I'm completely happy, and probably even more happy with what I've done so far because of the struggles I had in between. And so I'm looking at you when I say, whatever your struggles are, whatever your goals are, your hopes, you're gonna make it through. Embrace life for how it is, embrace the journey, you'll be fine. All right, guys. I hope that wasn't too deep for you. That's all I wanted to say today. Thanks a bunch for watching. If you enjoy my stuff and you haven't already, please subscribe. Smash that like button and leave a comment below if you want to add some feedback. Maybe I'm a complete idiot, or maybe I have a bit of wisdom. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.